Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the King of the North League of Legends qualifier, the second qualifier as such. And we're into round 3 to see Huddersfield White take on the Shefeeders? I guess. It's going to be Sheffield, so it'll be the Shefeeders in this matchup. Round 3, both these teams very even as well, Sam. Going to be interesting to see how they do.
Yes, I believe so. I mean, they've got through one round already, have they? Oh no, we're still in the first round. My mistake. But we have seen these teams match up very nicely in terms of their rank. We're looking at some high platinums here and a couple of diamonds. So we should see a very even game coming out as we are moving into Champ Select. And I would like to take a moment to tell you what this is all about. This is the King of the North tournament qualifier 2. We've already had one winner at our qualifier last week on the 13th of February, and that was Exeter. They brought it home very nicely, and this time we'll decide the second team that are entering our live King of the North Grand Final on the 2nd of March.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event. We're going to be hosting it at the Manchester Academy one, and lots of things to do. They're going to be MSI with their setup. They're going to have a bunch of computers there, a bunch of things to test out. Computer Planet going to have some really cool simulators, some 4K displays, and some VR stuff. I believe Gamers Apparel will be sponsoring our clothing, obviously, and thanks to the Newell setting us up with the tournament, the casters, my lovely self, and Twitch, who are sponsoring the event as well. So a lot to do at Academy 1 on the 2nd of March. Put in your diaries and head on down eventually. This game will be getting into Champ Select real soon. So Sam, what do you want to see in this game?
Honestly, Shaco, maybe. I would like to see something that isn't necessarily of the meta in terms of the LCS sort of picks. You know, maybe a jungler that isn't Nidalee, Rek'Sai, or Elise, as we've seen a lot of Nidalee already. And as great as Nidalee is, it does become slightly annoying just describing. You know, we see Nidalee. She gets the poke off, she gets the roam off, generally puts great pressure across the map. But it becomes, you know, it can become sort of cyclical and boring to watch. So maybe I really would like to see is some interesting jungle picks.
All right. Well, I'm interested to see if Gragas will join the game. We've seen him getting buffs in patch 6.3. Obviously, lots of masteries help him out as well. So really interesting to see if those reverts on the nerfs that he had will come into effect. Aya's Cats is a jungler that you should look out for, Sam. Known for his Nocturne jungle, as well as his Kindred jungle. Likes to play Graves as well before Graves got butchered. So he wasn't as strong in the jungle. So maybe you'll see a bit more of a, I want to say off-meta pick. It's not quite off-meta. Kindred and Graves very still strong in the meta. Bans coming out very quickly. Morgana and Thresh banned out by Huddersfield White, obviously aiming that at shots on the support. Callista and Elise now for Shefeeders, and Tom Kent will be the final ban for Huddersfield White as well.
They're really looking to shut down shots, which is interesting. Rarely to see 3 bans coming out against the opponent's support player, but you know, these are big champions. Morgana with the spell shield can pretty much make a lane completely passive. Thresh has the instant escape with the lantern, and then Tom Kench of course can gobble you up and take you away. So those sort of very defensive utility based supports have been taken away, forcing shots potentially onto a champion he's not comfortable with, as the Alistair does come out for Insec Uchi Dragons DBZ.
Yeah, it's going to be on Armor. Loves those big tanky supports. Armor known for his Brum, his Alistair, and his Nautilus, and we're going to see him today on the cow. You won't be milking those. Looks like it's going to be Lucian picked up for Shefeeders. We have seen Lucian in the top lane, so maybe Fabri will delight us with that one. Could just be a Lucian in the bot lane, Deckard, Bane, maybe playing that one. Trundle locked in. Will be interesting to see where that one goes. Could be on Shots in the bot lane, could be on Proviv in the top lane, also could be on Pilot in the jungle. Really nice flex pick coming out of Shefeeders.
Yeah, this is our first Lucian of the day. Nice to see. We saw him a lot last week. Does provide obviously the classic lane bully in the last year, and again the culling comes out, clears the waves, can be used for all sorts of utility. Also use it to get the Baron or the Dragon down extremely fast, and just generally a really good AD carry to start with, along with the likes of the Ezreal, which we've also been seeing. It does look like could see a Fiora, and that will actually be on Insect 2G Dragons DBZ, and a Kindred as well. So Kindred we saw last week, but it came down like the skill of a Kindred really comes down to when you use that Lamb's Respite. And I did the Kindred last week. I specifically remember forgetting to use it a lot of the
Yes.
time, actually dying, dying before putting it out. So if we do see the Kindred, it is locked in. Be nice to see some really well-timed ultimates coming out of IHAS Cats.
Yeah, Aya's Cat's Kindred is very good. Insect 2G Dragon DBZ also on that Fiora, very good Fiora player as well. So I've seen him outplay a lot of people with the riposte. A 2v1 turret dive in the new summer tournament last year, and he outplayed Askana and Olaf to get himself a double kill under the turret. Went on to carry the game, so very capable on that champion. It's going to be Rek'Sai and Brum locked in for the bot lane. So that will be a Trundle top, Rek'Sai jungle. So we're going to see two new junglers come to the Rift, Sam. We're going to be a Rek'Sai and a Kindred. So still very meta, but mixing things up. A bit of a compromise there for you.
Yeah, no, I'll take that. And having said that, it does look like the bottom lane is going to be fairly interesting. Also a bit of a change up from the first two games that we've cast this week. Orianna being hovered over would be a relatively safe pick, as the mid lane has not yet been shown for Shefeeders. Braum, great pick, is going to do fine against the Alistar somewhat. They are both massive tanky brothers, but you got to ask yourself, really, the Braum shield, unless Ari and Corki are locked in, what it was planning to block.
Well, there's a lot of poke on the side of Huddersfield White now. So we got the Corki with his missile barrage and armor, Sharpie X on that Lulu most likely, with the glitter lance to slow down the enemy team. Lulu, very safe pickup, a very good champion to pick if you don't know what your opponent's going to be. And obviously buffs up the Corki, buffs up the Kindred, double AD comp coming out of Huddersfield White, so that Lulu will be able to help her team out very nicely. So a full composition coming out of Huddersfield White. What do you make of it?
I really like it. Saw a couple of sort of these style teams last week. They're sort of vulnerability compositions somewhat. We don't have the likes of a Nivea or that sort of revive champion, but you do have Lamb's Respite coming out on the side of Kindred, and you have an Alistar who can obviously put his ultimate on and be incredibly hard to kill, and then of course the Lulu ultimate as well. Whoever Shefeeders decide to focus, there is going to be the issue of the Lulu ultimate and shield. So whilst they don't have the biggest front line, mainly just Alistar, they do have a lot of protection and a lot of kites. So I quite like it. Again, Fiora going to be operating that split push game. I think a lot of it could come down to how well the Fiora does against the Trundle for Breathe.
Yeah, the Trundle going to be an interesting pick up against the Fiora. Fiora obviously stacks damage, so Trundle not really stealing too many stats from the Fiora, but that could make the difference if the Fiora is very squishy. Stony Bridge going to be playing that Annie, as you said, going to try and push Sharpie X out of the game. Going to be interesting to see how that one goes. There was a Victor hovered before, but they did change it up. Thankfully, that means that there should be a little bit more fighting going on in the mid lane, a bit more action. But I'm looking to this bot lane, really, to see how Chris and Armor face up against Deckard and Bane. Deckard shuts, that is. The Lucian, very strong early game. The Corki kind of has a massive mid-game spike with the Triforce. What's going to happen here, Sam?
I am looking at this, an interesting point. The Alistar armor, it does look like he's going to take the Ignite, so we could see a very, very aggressive bot lane here. You also have to counter in the jungler pressure. Of course, the problem for Huddersfield is going to be Rek'Sai is very, very present thanks to the ult. Will basically have no downtime and is going to continually farm, so it's always going to be somewhat close to that lane. But again, Kindred, as far as damage, brings a huge amount of damage to the gank, so I would expect this bot lane to be kicking off very early. And of course, we've seen the LCS and we've seen before, Alistair can play very, very aggressive as soon as he gets level 2 and hits that combo. And of course, thanks to the recent updates and changing the patches, he shouldn't be missing that combo.
Yeah, well, it would be pretty detrimental for Arm if he does miss that combo. They patched it because even pros can miss an Alistair combo, and they thought, well, that's not right. A pro should not be suffering from that mechanic. So it made it a bit easier for us scrubs down in bronze and silver and plat like myself. So we'll be loading into the Rift very shortly. Both these teams have very interesting team compositions. So for the side of Shefeeders, they've got a very nice all-in engage. They've got the anti-tibbers, the Rek'Sai tunnel and the knock-up, shuts with that glacial fissure to knock everyone up. Whereas on the side of Huddersfield White, they can all in with the Fiora and with the Kindred. That elementary spike makes it very safe. Armor obviously on the Alistair, but they will probably be looking to poke down with the Glid Lance, with the Missile Barrage, with Aya's Cats on that Kindred. And obviously the armor as well on that front line, able to disengage fights. So what do you think? What do you expect a team fight to go like? Do you think Shefeeders have what they need to break through that front line of Huddersfield White, or do you think it's going to be a very similar game to last, where one team is just able to poke down from afar and land those kills?
This is a classic sort of matchup, really, because I think on the side of Shefeeders, that tank line, you have a very traditional team because you have the AD carry, huge amounts of damage. You have the mage, and then you have a utility support then with 2 massive tanks coming out of the jungle and the top lane. Whereas on the side of Huddersfield White, you have a very kitey team. They have the skills, they have the Alistair, of course, and the Lulu, and most of the champions they have are ranged, other than Fiora, as far as I can remember. Can't actually see on the loading screen anymore. And it's generally going to be whether they can get the engage off. I would guess my favour would be on the side of Huddersfield White just at the moment, because beyond the Annie stun followed up by the Braum, I don't think there is a massive amount of hard CC stopping the Huddersfield White team being able to jump out of certain bad situations.
Yeah, well, the Brum allows them to engage and disengage, as well as the Alistair, of course. Guys, this is round 3 of the King of the North qualifier. One of these teams will be heading into the semi-finals to try and fight for their place at the live King of the North finals at Academy 1 on the 2nd of March in Manchester. It's going to be Huddersfield White taking on the Shefeeders. Both these teams loading up on the drift, getting ready, trying to face their way in. Have a quick look at the mastery. He's going to see a couple of Thunderlord's Decrees, obviously on the Corki and the Lulu, but very tanky masteries actually coming out of Fiora and Alistair as well as on the side of Trundle, Rek'Sai and Brum. Those Resolve masteries as well. Very standard, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and we have seen Grasp the Undying doing massive work in the previous games today, so not surprised to see that coming out again for Trundle and Fiora. As we do enter onto the Rift for our 3rd game of the day. This game, a match between Huddersfield White on the blue side and Shefeeders on the red side.
Yep, Insect 2G, Dragon Ball Z. Interesting name. Always hated it, casting it over in the null. He'll be playing top lane Fiora, as we see a lot of pings coming out of the blue side. They were trying to set up that 5-point defense. Red side, Sheffield is going to try and find a invade. See if they manage to do so. They're going to run into Insect 2G. And he will spot them out. Wards being placed. That Tremor Sense very useful for invading. You know exactly how many enemies are around you from afar. So they're going to lay down those deep wards, try and spot out any kind of lane swap that might be coming. As we do see Huddersfield White will place down some wards by the base gate as well as the mid lane, just in case.
Nice to see some more interesting starts, very LCS style, sort of roaming into the enemy jungle, putting those trinket wards down, saving a couple in case you need them, and then going back to the standard starts. Does look like Rek'Sai is going to be starting top, so potentially looking for that 3-4 minute gank in the mid lane and the bot lane. Would be very nice to get an early gank off on Lulu before she gets her ultimate. And as we see, it does look like Lucian and Braum are going to go for that level 2 start, along with the Corki and Asta, so hitting level 2 about the same time in the bot lane.
Yeah, so both these junglers and top lane duos, they're going to head up on the blue side, top side, take those camps with themselves, allow their marksmen and supports to pick up a level 1 camp. So as you say, going to be even. It'll be Declart, Vayne and Shots heading back to lane just a little bit quicker because they've got only 1 camp to secure. But Armor and Chris, very experienced duo, going to join them very quickly. So no CS necessarily lost, but Chris taking a lot of poke instantly from Deckyard as he's able to put down the poke with that Lucian.
Yeah, not surprising to see. Lucian, massive lane bully, and as well as Corki, you know, as much damage as the man can deal out, it will take a slight while to get up to that disgusting point with those phosphorus bombs doing huge amounts of damage. Chris is going to want to wait till about a few levels in before they can really go toe to toe with this lane. It's very famous, this lane, because you can quite simply nail either champion with that Braum Q and then jump forward with the Lucian, double tap and stun for that, as Insect and Dragon BZ trading happily in the top lane.
Yeah, and what allowed that early poke from Deckyard was that Shuts actually didn't pick up any of the XP from the Gromp. They gave it all over to Deckyard as Cat's putting down a bit of poke onto Pilot in the mid lane, poking wars going down. So Deckyard was able to secure the solo XP from the Grump, meaning he got level 2 instantly, walked straight into lane, was able to use the Light Singer, and then dash forward as well to get that passive going onto Chris. And with Thunderlords on that Lucian, just so much damage instantly. But Chris, life stealing with that Doran's Blade, has got himself back in a good position. Obviously Armor able to heal up his AD carry as well.
Yeah, Pilot did get himself into an interesting position on that Rek'Sai. Has actually not taken either of his red or blue buffs yet. And that did leave Ayaz Katz to actually put a lot of pressure down on him. We just see on your screen about a minute ago. So a good start for Ayaz Katz. Will be ahead on CS and levels. Oh no, thrill free all across the board. But does get a lot more jungle pressure off in the early game as Pilot goes to his red buff to finally secure something of significance.
Yeah, interesting start from Pilot. Not quite sure what he is intending to do. Maybe give that blue buff early over to Stony Bridge so the Annie can poke out the Lulu. Annie, a champion that doesn't really suffer from mana costs as long as you last hit with your Q. The mana is refunded as well as the cooldown are halved by 50%. So able to farm very safely and not use very much mana. And it's already showing if you look at the mana bars from Sharpie X and Stony Bridge. Stony Bridge, full mana. Sharpie X low. Fabrive gonna have to flash away from Ayaz Katz, putting down the damage. Can he get the third proc off? He can't. What was that? Insect 2G flashing on the spot. Accidental, probably trying to time the flash of Insect 2G, of Fabrive, you know. 9 minutes, but accidentally did press enter and ended up flashing himself. So unfortunate, that's kind of what happens. It usually happens with the supports. Supports time the flashes by pressing enter F name and then the number. But unfortunately for Insect 2G, he suffers from that.
If that is why he just flashed, that is hilarious. You know, trying to be a statistically correct player and trying to get those timings right, and then just pays the cost for being such a tryhard. Rek'Sai coming in top lane.
Yeah, the riposte does not stop the knockup. Pilot doing so much damage. And Insect 2G will escape without that flash. Very well played by the Fiora. So we'll have to teleport back to lane. So both teleports being used by these two top laners. Both junglers showing their face top. Nothing really being secured there.
Perhaps we have seen then a bit of a problem with this Fiora pickup. Fiora generally a lane dominant champion. We've seen in the previous games is can do a huge amount of damage. But that riposte, which should block the next move, there's not much to riposte in the form of Trundle, really. You're not going to be able to riposte the pillar His W is not an attack, so it's really just Trundle bites, which can riposte, and that's sort of hard to predict because it's on hit.
Yeah, instantaneous. It changes the next auto attack, empowers it, so you have to definitely read your opponent to get that one off. Sharpie X in this mid lane, doing well. He's got himself the level 6 early. Stony Bridge here, and will he fall? He gets polymorphed. Aya's Cat's landing the damage. First blood, Wolf picks that one up, and Aya's Cat finally making something happen. Now, a little bit of a fight. Challenge is put on to Fabri. Subject is ticking. Dragon DBZ going very low, but the grand challenge is completed. He's going to heal up off that one. And Fabri, knowing that he cannot fight, runs away. So, wet noodle fight of the top lane is complete. Both champions going away with pretty much full health. So not much really happening. Both ultimates used, and I think this game definitely going to need the jungle intervention if something's going to happen in the top lane.
When you think about that, that was actually just a ridiculous fight because they were both at some point on quarter health. Now they're pretty much both up to full health.
Yeah, well,
Subject that's top laners for you.
Well, it's Subject from Trundle, ticking very nicely, but then Insect 2G completing the challenge. If Insect 2G is not able to complete the challenge in fights to come, Fabri definitely will have a advantage in that top lane. But because he's Trundle, because he's just wanting to face tank you with his auto attacks, it's very easy to pock that grand challenge on Fiora.
Yeah, and of course they both picked up the corrupting potions, very standard start for the top laners at the moment, so that will help also with the sustain. So as you say, wet noodle fight is my new favourite phrase, Dowsy. That is exactly what's happening in the top lane here. In the bot lane, it does look like Rek'Sai could be looking for something, but there is fantastic ward coverage so far for the side of Huddersfield White, and you see some more trading in the top lane.
Yeah, well, there's passive, very unlucky for Braviv, landing on the side closest to Insect 2G. So very unfortunate for the Trundle. Whenever those passives are very easily attainable, obviously the vitals are going to be ticked. Armor saying, no shots, you cannot land the concussive blows onto my AD carry. Very hard to gank a Corki Alistair lane.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing you can do. Those headbutts, just painfully depressing. But we do have, really, I think the feature matchup of this game is going to be the junglers again. Has Cats, as you were saying, Dowsy, doing a brilliant job so far. Getting that first blood in the mid lane on Stony Bridge is going to put him ahead, and it does look like he's going to be going for the Sabres route, as we do see Tough in the top lane.
Yeah, Pilot's here though for the counter gank. He will come over, knocking up Dragon. The challenge is on for Brief, who's out of mana. He's going to go very low. The Vital, one more will do the trick. The Riposte to try and slow him down, doesn't quite land it. Misplay coming out of Dragon DZ. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Grizz trying to get away. The Culling landing every single tick onto him. He's going to flash forward, get the kill, and now they're going to turn on to Armor. Concussive blows is popped. He's going to pop the ultimate, flashing him into the turret. He's going to fall. Armor picks up the kill onto Deckyard Bane. Mastery symbol being taunted by Armor. 1-for-1 in the bot lane.
Yeah, lovely little bit of exchange from both teams there. Really well played Pilot just to sort of sit behind that wall in the top lane and then setting up. It's shame, actually, Insect 2G Dragon DBZ missing the Q there. However, in the bot lane, it's all kicking off. Nice kill on Corki, finishing it off very, very nice with the culling. However, I was very surprised Decard Bane, after having got that killed, fell for that Alistair. I think the headbutt seemed to me a little obvious. As you do see the big one.
Grizz onto Stony Bridge. Pilot is here. He's tanking the turret, but he has Valkyrie to get away, and that's how you use that package. You pick it up and you go to another lane. That movement speed from Grizz, able to put him right in there. They're able to tower dive. Sharpie X had the wild growth as well to keep his marksman alive, and that is Sharpie X securing a nice little advantage over Stony Bridge in the mid lane.
Yeah, so just as you see Decard Bane moving on up, you know, Chris says, no, I'm not having that, I'm not dying, I'm going to go straight to the mid lane and take my kill back. So the AD carries will be 1-to-1 in this lane. Corki going for that Trinity Force route, as you'd expect, and the Essence Reaver coming out of Decard Bane soon. Magic Resist, two very different sort of builds coming out on these mid laners. It does look like Annie is going to be going for that Abyssal Scepter. I'm glad that that's coming out. We have seen the Annie today going the Rod of Ages build, but I just do not think it brings enough damage in the early game, and this is when the Shefeeders are really going to need to step it up, because Annie, very strong mid-game champion, you don't really want to be waiting for her to power up. You want the damage, you want the impact when you're trying to get these dragons in the mid-game and securing other objectives.
So I don't know if you noticed it, but we're 11 minutes into the game, and IHasCats has already got himself 10... Nope, not quite. 3 stacks on the mark of Kindred. Very nice. I thought it was 10, and I was thinking that's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
It's actually the passive on the heal that I was looking at by mistake. But he's got himself 3 stacks already on Kindred, and he's going that Devour route as well on the Marksman jungler. So going to be trying to scale up very nicely into the late game. Warrior is what you generally see from a Kindred. It's a much safer pick, as we do see Stony Bridge pushed out of the lane by IHasCats, once again laying down some pressure in the mid lane, as Pilot actually counter-jungling the Kindred, which is going to really hurt, as obviously he wants to try and stack up that Devourer as much as possible. But he has to be careful here. He's going to find himself maybe caught out? Nope, Sharp EX being very safe, and so Pilot will just tunnel out of the jungle very safely.
Yes, certainly in the first 10 to 12 minutes of this game. Oh, Grand Challenge dropped.
Yeah, but the Subjugate is kicking. Can he kick it? He does. And actually, IceCats is here, so this is what we're talking about. They need this jungler intervention. IceCats actually not going to be able to get over onto February. Pilot is in the top lane to maybe counter gank a Kindred, who is actually going to invade him, picking up this ward here, clearing out the vision. So top lane is once again going very even. Grand Challenge completely nullifies the effects of Subjugate on that Trundle, and it's going to need some major jungle intervention. Like we saw IceCats and Pilot both roaming up. They both knew they had to be there for the fight, but nothing came of it.
We once again see that these junglers are making the game. IHasCats, as you were saying, he's gone that Devour route, has stacks already, and really sort of dominating them out the first 10 to 12 minutes of the game. But as we saw, Pilot, you know, now looking to do some counter jungling, did manage to escape. He is Rek'Sai, can be very safe with those tunnels, and that's what he should be doing. He should be counter jungling, making sure that those stacks can't get away from him on that Kindred. Kindred will be doing more damage regardless, but just want to slow her down as much as possible. As Sharp EX and that Lulu reading the gank and happy to walk away from that. It's actually really impressive. Those 2 pink wards for the side of Sheffield have been, Huddersfield even, have been sat there for quite a while now, and they're doing massive work.
Yeah, well, they got the vision in the top side river, the vision on the bottom side river, so Pilot's going to be spotted out every time he tries to invade onto the jungle. Different smites coming out. Pilot with that tracker's knife, so going to be able to lay down the dip vision every time he invades. And Rek'Sai's kit with the tremor sense, very safe to invade the enemy jungle. You can see all the enemies coming from far away, so Pilot definitely using that one well. Like to see him pick up a sweeping lens so that he can be clearing out vision in the enemy jungle every time he goes in, make sure he's not spotted. Hopefully he'll pick that up soon. It's going to be the challenging smite on IHasCats. Devour is still stacking up on this Kindred. Major stacking route, as he's going to be picking up the marks every time they spawn, as well as trying to pick up marks on enemies and try and build up the Devourer spirit to that 30 mark so that he can lay down damage every 4th auto attack.
Yeah, and currently sitting on 9 stacks, only has to get 30 to complete, and is looking for something potentially on Trundle, but Trundle has slight item advantage at the moment just because of the nature of when he went back. Has finished that Titanic Hydra with Insect 2 on his Fiora, not yet to finish that item. It's reaching the 15-minute mark now, and I would expect, as we said in previous games, I expect some sort of pressure to go down on Dragon soon, potentially the Rift-Tailed. And the Rift-Tailed is an interesting one. As we talk about it each game, teams tend to have adapted differently to it. Some place a lot more value on it than others, and it really comes down to sort of how you use it, that split push pressure or the extra power on the champion. So it'll be interesting to see whether the Kindred looks for that Rift-Tailed will give them the 5 points needed for that Devour as well.
Have a look at Chris. He's just got himself the Triforce, and he's got himself the package. It's going to be Ice Cats trying to gank the top lane. Lamb's respite absolutely needed, as now Insect 2G going to be here. The Grand Challenge laid onto him for free, picks up the kill. Insect 2G trying to pick this one up. He has flash available, going to flash forward, get the vitals, misses one, going to try and hit it. He doesn't complete the challenge to a misplay coming out of Ice Cats, and now Pilot in the top lane. As I was saying, Chris has picked himself up Triforce. He's got himself up this special delivery package as well. So got that power spike that we're so often used to seeing on a Corki. Will he be able to do something with it? Meanwhile on the top lane, Ice Cats overstepping his boundary. It's going to be Insect 2G still trying to push out this Trundle, but he's just so tanky with the Grasp of the Undying, able to sustain with those auto attacks as well.
In overstepping his boundary, that's sort of like reminiscent of what we're going to see in this game. IS Cats, huge amount of damage. We talked about the Devourer and the stacks there, but I mean, he's still very squishy. He is an AD carry in the jungle, fundamentally, so he has to be very, very careful about not letting that Trundle jump on him, and just died so fast there. And that's really going to be the story of this game, I think. How well can Huddersfield White avoid letting Shefeeders get right up in their face?
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that Chris didn't actually use the power spike very effectively. They are going to go for Dragon, Huddersfield White. That Kindred will be picking up the 5 stacks on that Dragon, very much needed when you go Devourer. Surprised not really going for the Rift Scuttlers. They do give 2 stacks on that Devourer, provide excellent vision for your team. Try and invade the jungle now, maybe pick up a extra mark on that Wolf Camp. Chris with that Triforce, Sharpie X doing quite well in the mid lane. Going to try and pressure down this mid lane turret. It has taken quite a beating, and if Ice Cats and Ana are to join, it's going to be very difficult for Shefeeders to defend this one.
Yeah, it does look like Huddersfield White are sort of noticing that power spike potentially now, trying to push the mid lane. But for Breathe on the Trundle is there.
But
he is there, but
Sharpie X able to disengage that one quite well. The Whimsy to allow him to run away. 2 minutes left on this Baron to spawn. Be interesting to see if Huddersfield White or Shefeeders use this time to take away the Rift Herald. Obviously for IS Cats would be excellent for his Devourer stacks. But might be a little bit too risky, as Pilot has headed over, laying down the vision, taking away the opportunity for them to do that quite easily. Going to be Ice Cats in the top lane once again. He lays down the slow. Here comes Dragon DBZ. He lays down the Grand Challenge. Flash from Fabrice. Are they going to chase this one under the turret? Nope, they won't. And that's once again Fabrice, the big tanky Trundle, escaping the fight. Pilot in the top lane here, looking for a counter gank possibly, taking away that pink ward, and it will be a pause by Huddersfield White in this game. Armor pausing this one up, have to see what it's for.
Yeah, well, hopefully, guys, that will be a pause for frame rates or lag, and it does look like it is frame rates, FPS lag. They're screaming in the chat. So that give me a bit of time just to talk about that sort of top lane pressure that's been applied, because with IS Cats, you know, despite the fact that Fabrice hasn't died yet, continually pressuring him, continually pushing the lane out, blowing the flash, puts him in a position where he isn't really able to make an impact around the rest of the map. And there's, you know, we're denying that teleport impact, and I think consistently see this, that the teleports aren't maybe being used as well as they could be in these games, and the top laners, I think, tend to take teleport out of tradition, and because they don't really know what else to take, and could be doing a better job at capitalizing on having that summon a teleport, potentially.
Well, it's the CS difference in the top lane is why Ice Cats is continually finding himself top. It's 30 CS in the lead for Breathe on that Trundle, and they really want this Fiora to be strong so they can split push, lay down maybe a 1-3-1 split push later on in the game. Maybe Kindred goes bot lane, Fiora in the top lane, and the rest in the mid lane. And it makes it really hard for the side of Shefeeders to react to that. But if Fiora is not actually the split pushing 1v1 duelist that we have come to know her as, it's going to be very hard for them to do that. And so they're trying to shut down this Trundle, get Insect 2G back into the game. It just doesn't seem to be working. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, 30 CS lead for Sharpie X over Stony Bridge. This Lulu coming to fruition. And Stony Bridge is their sole AP damage. Now, Annie's going to do a lot, despite being down, the Abyssal Scepter is there to reduce the magic resistance of anyone in her vicinity, which is going to be help, obviously, because AoE Tibber's ult going to do a lot of damage. But if Sharpie X continues his lead, he's going to be able to buff up Aya's Cats and Kriz to remarkable differences. Bot lane, very even though. So the real two differences that we need to look out for is Prabeev in the top lane, pressuring Insect 2G, and Stony Bridge in the mid lane being pressured out by Sharpie X. As looks like the FPS is being fixed, so we will unpause this game in just a bit. Shefeeders may be using this pause to their advantage, going and getting some toilet breaks, and we'll have to wait for them to be ready to unpause this.
I think at this point, given the pause, given the situation, Shefeeders given a chance to think about what they might do. I'd really like to see Stony Bridge on the Annie start making some more plays. We've not seen him do a huge amount. Has been backed up onto his turret very nicely by Sharpie X, which might explain somewhat the CS difference. But really, Annie, it's mid game heroes. If fight goes on top.
Yeah, top lane for Brief going very low, and they will actually pick up the kill straight onto him. Pilot now going to be pressured out. He will flash out of it. The Lamb's Respite to keep everyone nice and healthy, and this is exactly what Insect 2G needed in that top lane. Fabree finally falls. They're going to be able to pressure on the turret if Pilot leaves it alone. In fact, they're going to go for the Rift Herald, try and get those stacks onto the Kindred, and allow either the Fiora or the Kindred some split pushing power. As Sharpie X pushing down this turret should be able to pick it up actually as well.
Very nice situation to be in for Huddersfield. White's taking the tower and the Rift Herald. It's looked like the Rift Herald is going straight onto the Kindred, which I think in this situation is potentially wise. Kindred is stacking up very nicely at this point. Did take the kill in the top lane. Deckard Bane looking for something.
Yeah, Kriz is alone. Armor's up top river, and so Deckard and Shuts, it's a perfect opportunity for them to try and pressure onto this Corki.
Yeah. Obviously though, Corki very, very safe, and is still managing to farm perfectly well without her support there. And I don't know why I assume it's a she, but there we go.
Corki having a bit of a gender identity crisis.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, we'll allow it. Here's 2016.
Brilliant. Oh, so actually it does look like Insect has picked up the Rift Herald buff very nicely. And he's going to be using that to continually, again, shove for breathe in, apply the pressure, try and get some sort of lane advantage you were talking about, Dowsy. And we do settle back into the game. Aya's Cats sneakily sitting in the grass here. I'm not sure Deckard Bane and Shuts will fall for this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We might see Kriz overstep his mark, take 8 concussive blows. Lamb's Respite will be up in just a bit, so Icecats can save his marksman if that happens. Pilot in the bot lane now, so it looks like both junglers very much on the same track here. He's got the flash, and there's got to be Deckard extremely low. Pilot is here, teleport coming out. Icecats does pick up the kill, teleport from Prabeev, he will be here soon. Here comes Insect 2G, they're going to go on to Pilot, try and get him down. Double kill going to Cats. Huddersfield White flip the switch, they turn everything on. And with the Rift Herald buff on 2G, they're going to be able to easily pressure this bot lane turret as well.
Yeah, you do not have to fall for a gank when you have an Alistair. I completely forgot that. The flash pulverize, no problem. Huge amount of damage coming out from Cats with that stacking Devourer. And now, like you said, they're turning the switch. Huddersfield White, brilliant play. And you also saw, the teleport coming out very early from Breathe, but really wasn't able to make an impact and did have to back off as soon as it came through. And that does give them another 2 turrets, potentially applying some pressure on the mid as well. Does take another turret, leaving the turret score at 4-0. Out of nowhere, Huddersfield White have a huge advantage, 7k gold lead.
Yeah, that's crazy for Huddersfield White. All of a sudden, they just flip a switch and they pull extremely far into the lead. Fantastic play by Kriz and Aya's Cats. Aya's Cats completing that Devourer now, so massive power spike for him. And Stony Bridge just not able to do anything against Sharpie X in the mid lane. Turret goes down. That's 2 tier 2 turrets in only a matter of seconds for Huddersfield White.
Yeah, and then the question then lies, Shefeeders, what do you do having suddenly lost all these turrets? They really do need to be careful not to overextend here. They're probably used to having these turrets up, and they need to establish a vision, calm it down, and just make sure they don't make any big errors like that, it will be a while before Armor on the Alistair has his flash up again and make that sort of play. But it's going to be on for Breathe, I think, not to overextend, given he is so far out and the rest of the map is so far in.
Yeah, well, he's not got the tier 2 turrets of his fellow laners to keep him alive. Insect2G now going to try and escape this gank. He does actually repulse the knockup from Pilot, so Pilot will be stunned instead. Fantastic play from Insect2G. And that is going to be Dragon now pressured over. The second one of the game, going over to Huddersfield White. Pilot in the top lane, not able to contest it. Aya's Cats laying down the damage, and actually looking at Pilot's build so far, he's gone Cinderhulk, which you would expect on a Rek'Sai, but also gone Aegis of the Legion, and the magic damage on Sharpie, I wouldn't say is such a big deal when you think that Sharpie is looking to buff up either Chris or Aya's Cats. Now Aya's Cats does tremendous amounts of 80 damage, Chris does a little bit of mixed damage, so maybe a half decent item, but it's going to be the 80 damage from Insect2G that they also have to watch out for. So possibly a bit of a misitemization from Pilot. Obviously Agent just of the Legion, good item, but maybe not the first one you want on Rek'Sai.
I do completely agree with you there, Dowsy. I think it's would have been a lot better off with just armor and health at this point. I mean, Ihaz Cats is fundamentally the person carrying the Huddersfield White team at this point and has a Devourer. Attack speed, you know, maybe you could have gone something Frozen Hearts or just got the health generally. Ihaz Cats is caught though.
Yeah, he's got Lamb's Respite to keep him alive. We'll dump over into the Baron pit. The Baron's actually doing so much damage to that Kindred. Does manage to escape, has to use the Lamb's Respite to keep him alive. Now Sharpie X caught out, does have Wild Growth available. The Tibbers comes in, and he actually falls. Deckyard gets the kill, Armor in the middle of the fight. Chris is going to get knocked up by the Glacial Fisher as Shuts goes onto him. Heal is used. Aya's Cats on the back line, doesn't have that ultimate to keep him alive. Armor going to try and just shut down this one. Got the pulverized headbutt to get himself a little bit further, but he's actually just going to fall. Deckyard Bane getting a double kill in this fight, and that's a throw from Huddersfield White. They just let Shefeeders back into the game.
Yeah, Huddersfield White being a bit big in their boots there, and the question is, Shefeeders, what can they take from this? They have got 2 kills, but both Shuts and Stony Bitch are fairly low. Chris, sitting in the wings, could come in and does have the poke to push them off the tower, so capitalize massively on that, Shefeeders. However, it is great news for them picking up those kills, and I think you do see that when they need to, Shefeeders can apply the damage and blow up people, and this is the issue because Huddersfield White are very squishy, and if they don't group together and they don't have the saving potential of Ihaz Cat's Lamb's Respite or Sharpie X's ult, then they can simply get blown up, and then it doesn't matter how far ahead you are.
Yeah, well, that was as you said, the massive mistake from Huddersfield White. They didn't grow up. They were individually placed around the red side jungle, allowed Huddersfield White to pick up some kills. It is still a 12k gold lead for Huddersfield White, so not the worst thing to happen. But Deckyard Bane will have those kills, much needed on the marksman for Shefeeders. That Lucian only needs a little bit to take a lot, and with that little bit, he's got himself that stack shift, he's got himself that Essence Reaver. Now it's going to be Shots aggressed onto. That third stack does hit. Ignite will stick down. Aya's Cat is on a rampage, that red buff picking up the kill. And with the Brum now gone, that is the main source of engage, apart from Stony Bridge on Annie, that Shefeeders have. So Huddersfield White have a little bit of an opportunity to maybe group up in the top lane, take down that last tier 2 turret, and get themselves a bit more of a gold advantage.
Yeah, and you've got to ask yourself, Shefeeders, what can they do about these tower pushes? They don't necessarily have the best wave clear, and they're going to get
cool. Fantastic flash there by Fabrice to dodge the combo coming out of Alistair. Grand Challenge was laid onto him, but with the turret damage that comes with the second dragon, the burn that is applied, that turret is going to go down very quickly.
Yeah, picking up, you know, I was saying the wave clear is not really there for Shefeeders, so they could fall prey to this despite the Huddersfield White team being very squishy. They have a dramatic amount of poke, and armor is there if necessary to jump and dive the turrets. They can do that. And it does look like they're going to play a very systematic game now, rotating lanes, pushing them out, and then will begin a proper siege of the inhibitor turrets, potentially looking for a Baron at some point.
Yeah, the Baron would be instrumental for Huddersfield White to push down those turrets. They've got a triple AD comp And then the buff up from Sharpie, make that a quadruple AD comp almost. You consider one of the AD carries who get buffed up as two. Shefeeders going to be in an interesting position. The Pulverize does land onto Stony Bridge. Stony Bridge going very low for Breve as well. Lamb's Respite will keep everyone in Huddersfield very alive. For Breve going extremely low, does get blocked up. Now it's going to be Ice Cats on the backside. Can he get away? Yes, he can. Shuts now the focus. Deckyard will use the heal to try and get the team out. No one has died yet as Chris actually picks up the Sheen-empowered auto attack. Stony Bridge with the flash from Sharpie X, and Baron now being pinged out for Huddersfield White.
It looked at the beginning there that Shefeeders had an advantage. Then, out of nowhere, the flank comes in beautifully from the Huddersfield, and they do have a crazy fight with that Lamb's Rushback, keeping everyone alive for so long. But you can see the Baron steal.
Pilot does not manage to get it. Smite's coming out early from both junglers, and it will be Chris who picks up the Baron. Insect2G who slays Pilot. Now we've got a 13 gold advantage. Baron picked up by Huddersfield White. The triple AD composition will shred through those turrets. I'm not sure Shefeeders have a way back into this game.
No, this is a very, very dangerous territory for them. The reality is that Cat is doing so much damage. In that last fight, you could see that he was so squishy, he got cut down to the health, but he had already done the job by that point. He had put his Lamb's Respite down at the perfect position just after Alistair engaged, and now that he's got the Hurricane, he's got a fully stacked Devourer, fully stated, he's got the Blade of the Rune King for that health damage, that percentage health damage, and is just going to be completely mailing everyone. For Breve, finding himself again caught out, which is not even going to help Shefeeders even more. At this point, it does look a bit like they're on tilt. They're just so far behind.
Yeah, it wasn't a great special delivery from Corky, but did not matter as the rest of the team were there to pick up that tanky Trundle. Subject was used, but to very little effect. And that will be him down for the next 35 seconds. Minions in the bot lane, they're going to go into Stony Bridge. A lot of damage actually going out onto this Annie. Cats has to be careful though, as he was tanking the turret. Concussive blows could be popped onto Cats. Winter Bite does connect, but they take down the turret. Now they're going to go onto the inhibitor.
Yeah, was thinking, like, are they going to be able to siege? But the reality is that with armor and with Sharpie X, with that protection, Cat's Chris bringing the damage, no problem sieging whatsoever. That's the advantage of a AD comp. Really, they're going to shred those towers very comfortably. And with that bottom inhibitor down and Baron on the team, I can't see them losing. But Insta.
Yeah, Insect2G actually massive flash over the wall. I'm going to engage the fight. Shut's going to be going very low on the backside. Stony Bridge flashes over lands to Timbers. Shut down onto Kindred. Wasn't able to use the Lamb's Respite. Shut down onto Chris as well. Armor now on the backside going to get popped up. He gets stunned. Deckyard picks up the kill. This is not good for Huddersfield White as Pilot going to try and chase them down. 3 for nothing. And Huddersfield White overstaying their welcome.
Yeah, overstepping their bounds once again, but will they be able to capitalize? Shefeeders last time did not get anything for their good exchange of kills, but this time does look like they will be able to take a dragon, giving that much needed 6% AP and AD damage extra, and are going to pick up a mid-game tower, giving them somewhat of a bit more map control back in their favor. But they do need to get out of there before they're chased down by Huddersfield.
This could actually be really bad for Huddersfield as they're chasing very deep. Dragon goes onto Stony Bridge. He actually will get the kill. Grand Challenge now onto Deckyard. Bane enter shots. That's a triple kill. And now for Breve and Pilot are here. Can they do anything? Insect2G is just going to try and run away. Sharpie will try and slow them down. Sharpie X uses the Wild Grip on himself to knock them up. Dragon trying to put down the damage. They polymorph for Breve. Lots of damage onto that big tanky Trundle. Meanwhile, Super Minions in the bot lane pushing onto this turret, and it goes down to about half health. So it looked like Huddersfield White may have overextended, but Insect2G is a monster and was able to just take down everybody.
Yeah, no, he is not worried at the moment. He is extremely brave, happy to chase that team down, does take a kill for it. And you see there, in those sort of extended fights, how much help Lulu can be. It didn't seem like Insect was at all dying. He's just happy to exchange for ages. And they are going to get a second inhibitor for their work, and the third inhibitor now. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's extremely hard to come back when you have 3 inhibitors down.
Is possible, but very unlikely as Huddersfield White taking full control of this game. It's 15k gold difference, and Huddersfield White now just going to retreat back into the red side jungle, take away these camps, give Chris a red buff, get Cats a little bit more gold. This game slowly but surely falling out of control.
It's always fun to look at the items at this point in the game, because then it really comes, you start to understand how much of a gold lead there is. You look on the side, Stony Bridge's Annie is picked up, you know, he has the Abyssal Scepter, the Luden's Echo, and then he looks like he's making the makings of a Death Cap. However, you then turn to Sharpie X, who is not necessarily the most fed on his team, has been pretty passive most of the game, due to the fact that he's lewd, but he's got a Lich Bane, an Abyssal Scepter, and 18 stacks on his Medjay Soul Stealer. He's only died once in the game, and he's now stacked. He's got the Frost Cleanse Claim as well, and he's also got a immediately large one, so it's almost 2 full items
Make that a Death
ahead
Cap.
of Stony Bridge. There's
Yeah,
the
just
Death
picks
Cap.
up the Death Cap for Sharpie X. So full build for this Lulu, as Medjay's is the only thing left to stack up. Almost there, full stacks for him. 3 inhibitors down, and we see Ice Cats and Dragon DBZ putting down the pressure, trying to push people back to the Nexus turrets. One of those Nexus turrets going very low, might even fall here, but it looks like the wave clear from Shefeeders will be enough. Now they're going to push down onto this inhibitor. Colin used to try and destroy the minion wave. Gets one of the super minions, but not the other. There's one Nexus turret. And Huddersfield White have a very fortunate position. All they have to do is fight. Stony Bridge is going to go very low. Will he fall? Insect 2G is lays down the challenge onto Fabrive. Chris picks up the kill onto Deckyard Bane. Now they're going to turn onto Shots. They get the kill. Pilot now looking very low. Double kill from Chris. The Nexus is now going to fall. Huddersfield White at 34 minutes into the game secure themselves victory. 16-7, 66.6k gold to 51. And Huddersfield White, they flipped the on switch on about 15 minutes into the game, just took so many turrets, 3 turrets at once, 2 tier 2 turrets, and from that point on they had full control over this game.
Yeah, fantastic play, and to be honest, like Huddersfield